So the first one that we're going to go into, it says link has nondescript text and it tells me it's on my course homepage. So when I click review, a new screen will pop up. You'll see it has some information here about what this problem is. And it looks like it's flagging the fact that I had included an introduction to Canvas YouTube video on my homepage. But what I did was I just pasted in the entire URL. And as we talked about earlier, that's not really best accessibility practices. So what we can do here is actually change the text of that URL really quickly within this tool. So I'm going to delete the link here and you'll see this happen live on the page on the right hand side. And I want that link to now say intro to Canvas video. And again, you saw that change live. It looks like it's still a link to the video itself, but now it's a descriptive text instead of the entire URL. So now I can click save. And in just a few seconds, we've now fixed one of our accessibility issues that UDOIT found. So as we go through, you'll notice that that is one of the really great things about UDOIT is that it'll help you quickly fix issues that might come up. So I'm going to close this and we'll go look at another issue here. I just want to also highlight for you that when you have resolved the issues, it shows a little fix symbol instead of exclamation point or an information symbol. So the next one we'll look at is this says insufficient text color contrast with the background. So this one is not one we talked about earlier, but is very relevant if you use color for any of your text. And essentially this is saying that the contrast of the text color that I used is not enough for someone to easily see that. The light blue is not great over white. It's really hard to see. And so you'll see that the ratio I have here is in red, indicating that it's not good enough. But again, we can change this quickly within the tool. So I'm going to look at my color picker. I'm going to pick a dark blue. My contrast ratio increased, and now it's green text. You'll see it changed live over here on the right-hand side. And again, I can save, and we have fixed another issue. The next one we want to talk about is related to alt text. So again, you'll see this says alternative text should not be the image file name. So it's slightly different than how we talked about it earlier. The alt text that came along with this image that I placed it in was just the name of the file, which is not descriptive enough for alt text. So again, here in this box, I can start putting the alt text that I might want. I'm not going to type the whole thing out now, but again, maybe I just want the text that's on that image, so that's what I would type. You'll see here there is a box for me to mark it as decorative. So as I said earlier, if it's something that they really don't need for content, you can mark it as decorative here. And then again, click save. So hopefully you're seeing how quick you can go through fixing any issues that might come up with your content. The next few that we'll talk about is related to heading styles. So you'll see that there are 5 of the same issue. It says avoid using heading styles for document structure. And so what this is flagging is that on my homepage, I had a number of different sections on there, but instead of using heading styles, I just used bold to identify those headings. Again, as we talked about, that is not accessible to screen readers. The reason that UDOIT flags each one as a separate issue is because UDOIT, the system, does not know the hierarchy structure that you would want to use for your headings. So you have to go in and tell it which heading level each one should be. So that's why they're separate. You'll also notice that from the list of heading levels you can pick here, it starts with H2, and that is because the title of the page counts for heading 1. So just know that heading 1 is the title of the page. For me, I want this next one to be a heading 2. So you'll see it changes it live again. And again, I can click save. I'm not going to go through all the rest of them, but again, you'll want to fix all of them. If you would find it easier, you could go directly to the home page from this tool. So here you could click to the home page and then go fix these heading levels yourself, just so that you could see them all in one spot. That's definitely an option. And then you could come back to the UDOIT tool and mark it as resolved yourself. That is one way to solve these as well. I did forget, so there's one issue here called closed captions are auto-generated. And what this is showing is just it notices that I linked to a YouTube video and it knows that YouTube produces captions automatically. So this is just a reminder to say, hey, go check those captions and make sure they're accurate. You can't actually update that within this tool, but it's a good reminder to check them. And again, if you check them and they're all good, you can come back and mark it as resolved yourself. The last issue that we're going to focus on here is again related to heading levels, but you'll see this time it's on my assignment page and it says heading levels should not be skipped. So when I click review, what it starts to tell me is that I had 3 sections in my assignment description where I did use headings this time, but what I did was I skipped hierarchy levels. So I went from a heading 1 to a heading 3 back to a heading 2, right? So I skipped and it doesn't make sense for heading levels. UDOIT recognizes this and is saying this is something you need to fix, but this one is not one you can actually fix within UDOIT. And so what I'm going to do is show you one other accessibility tool that you can use in Canvas to fix some accessibility issues. So to fix this one, we're going to navigate to my pre-class reading assignment. It will open up in a new page. Again, you can see I used a big heading and then 2 times smaller and then back up to 1 time smaller than the first one. So it doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about the hierarchy there. So I'm going to click edit. And then if I scroll down to the bottom of my rich content editor, you'll see an icon here with a person standing in a circle. And if you hover over it, it says accessibility checker. So unlike UDOIT, which is an external LTI tool, this accessibility checker is internal to Canvas. So it's Canvas's accessibility checker, and it will show up on all of the rich content editors that you might see within Canvas. If you click it, then a panel will pop out on the right and it will show you what issues it's identifying. So you'll see it's the same issue as UDOIT said, the heading levels should not be skipped. But here it will help me fix the problem. So it says I can either leave it as is, which we know we don't want to do. I have the option to fix it, or I have the option to remove the heading styles. Again, we want to use headings because they're accessible for screen readers. So I'm going to click fix heading hierarchy. What it does is it just brings it up to the same level as the heading below it. If that's not the hierarchy you want to use, you can then go in and change it yourself. But I'm going to click apply. And then this accessibility checker is saying there's no more issues. One thing to note is that UDOIT is going to find a broader range of issues than the accessibility checker within the rich content editor. But this is still a really great thing to have on hand to just check for the work that you're doing. So I'm going to click save to make sure we save our changes, and then I can go back to UDOIT and I could mark this as resolved manually and say, all right, I fixed another one. It looks like I would have to rescan to see if it's resolved, but either way, you know you fixed it, so you can move on from this issue.